God, street vlogs. Yes, my dog. Or Kim in the house. Alright, the first thought. Okay, so blah 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 blah. Culver City is the best city on the planet. Maybe. Maybe. Okay, anyways. So some street thoughts. Street. The first basic thought is maybe shoot street photography with your 60-pound weight vest. Look like SWAT team, SWAT. Or like private security. Ain't nobody effing mess with you. Right? Just look like a security guard. Watch out for people who finna run you over. Right? Just GoPro mini it all. When in doubt, GoPro mini it. Even I was thinking, it's like if you had a GoPro mini chest mount, like a cop, just have it strapped to your chest or to your mouth or to your chin, and yeah, be like the Spartan Halo people with the camera always recording, and people ain't effing, they ain't finna mess with you. Or get the Apple Vision Pro, just walk around with it around, just always be recording and just tape up the blinking LED light. Anyways, so camera is a weapon, a form of self-defense. Use a GoPro mini, use your camera, your iPhone. Don't buy a loser gun. Guns are for PU $IES. So like I don't know, I think the number one to think about street photography is fear is the best ingredient to living the best life possible. Typically when it comes to fear, it is like a unnecessary ingredient because it's a signal that you actually care for the thing. And this is also important because a life without fear is essentially a boring one, and the reason why video games are ultimately kind of a waste of time is that with video games, there's no real world exposure or risk. I mean, like, at worst, you lose the game, your feelings are hurt, whatever, right? But you're not gonna lose an arm or a leg. And this is where military valor or extreme high weightlifting, hyperlifting, and powerlifting is interesting. There is actually a downside risk. And also, like, should I get a job at the Toyota dealership? I'm like, there is no second bus. Okay, so you know the new Land Cruiser? I think it's super cool. Essentially, it's gonna be the new Range Rover killer, in my opinion. And also, it has the iForce Max hybrid. Don't be look at this. It's got 23 mpgs to 25. It's kind of expensive, but pretty gangsta. And also, pro tip, even Seneca learned the only car worth having is a stick shift car. If it don't got a stick shift, it's not a real race car or a sports car. And he actually specifically says race car, right? So just think it's race car or nothing. Oh, and also I saw a white Integra Type S. Pretty gangster. Yeah, look at this. Look at the new. It's funny, I've never really been to SUVs, but I guess Seneca likes them. But yeah, the new Land Cruiser, the fender flares. This is gonna be the new one. Start selling your Ranges. Range Rovers are for losers. And hybrid is the way. Toyota is the best. I mean, still, I'm Elon Musk and Tesla till I die. I mean, come on. We saw Seneca saw a matte green Cybertruck on the freeway the other day. I didn't see it, but come on, it's like kids could yell Cybertruck with so much enthusiasm. Yeah, like it's a good sign, right? And also, pro tip, whenever you see that people are selling something for super cheap, it's typically a signal that it's not desirable. So don't do that. And also, Honda should use the blue color, not the red. So anyways, I don't know, I think yeah, fear, uncertainty are good things because they signal that you're actually interested in the thing, but for some reason you're afraid of negative consequences, which prevents you from doing the thing. So let's say you're on the streets, you see a nice scene that you want to photograph, and you might hesitate or feel the fear because you're doing the mental predictions. Like, let's say I go out and get to shoot the photo, person gets angry at me, and it's going to be a big hubbub, right? But imagine, let us say that you are a Navy SEAL, you are the, can't ban the dope lady, who that, but imagine like you were the SWAT team, you're CIA, you're a cop, ballistic armor, whatever, you're John Wick. You ain't finna let nobody punk you around, right? So yeah, think of yourself like King Leonidas. Don't let nobody talk to you with disrespect, especially these Persian slaves, right? Don't tolerate no disrespect. And even a thing that, two memories. One, when I first watched the Gildan shooting street photography in New York City, and then he shoots a picture of somebody, and then it's like, why you take a picture of me? And then Gildan's like, you don't own the streets. And at first I was so taken back by the chutzpah, where I'm like, obviously Bruce Gildan's the bad guy, and he shot a picture of somebody super close to the flash, and then the person gets angry at him, and then Bruce Gildan responds in an angry tone, like, you don't own the streets, and then he gets angry back. And also a very memorable thing in Istanbul when I was with Charlie Kirk, and you know, he shoots a photo of a guy, right, and the guy gets angry, starts yelling at him, and then Charlie Kirk goes up to him, he's like, you don't tell me where to take photos, and started punking on the guy, right? Now I guess, I don't know, in Istanbul maybe they don't have guns or knives or something like that, and then so the guy backed off, and I was like so shocked. I'm like, wait, I thought Charlie Kirk was the bad guy, but he responded in such a aggressive way. And then Charlie taught me an interesting thing where he's just like, Eric, one thing you gotta understand, this country, somebody tries to bully you and then you bark back louder, they will become passive. So don't be passive aggressive, be aggressive. And even the ethical thought, maybe if somebody gives you SH exclamation point T, you should just yell back. You're just like, rather than doing the whole turn the other cheek. Maybe this is EK's next evolution moment, is that next time I shoot a photo of somebody and he gets angry at me, I'm gonna get angry back at them and start barking back. Now, I don't know if they stab me or shoot me with a gun, say la vie, effing say la vie, I know. Okay, so, or when you're out in public shooting street photography, just wear a bulletproof vest, don't shoot in the hood. Might not be a good idea. Now I was actually even thinking about, like, let's say you're a cop, right? You got a bulletproof vest, you don't have a bulletproof helmet, can somebody still headshot you? Not sure, but anyways, I need to do some more research on this. I was even thinking, it's like, what is the most lightweight vest you could do? But anyways, so some ways to feel tough, right? When you're out shooting street photography, buy the Titan.Fitness 60-pound weight vest, shoot street photography with that. And let us do the thought experiment. Let us say that you are actually SWAT team, or like a ranger, or somebody who's super, you know, whatevs, and you're shooting street photography, and then somebody tries to ask you what you're doing or gets angry at you. Obviously you have the higher authority of your military pedigree, that you know that your actions are justified. So yeah, and I think ultimately the only people I really respect is people who have actually served military duties, like on the front lines, like in Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever, right? Even my brother-in-law Khan, who's turning 40, and actually it's somebody who's turning, okay, I bought him the Essentialism by Rick Rubin hardcover book for his 40th birthday party. The best book presents are the hardcovers where the cover just looks great, and even though you don't read a single page, it's motivational or inspirational, right? So that whole circle and the dot, best design ever. And also I like Rick Rubin because he helped produce the Yeezus album with Kanye, which is probably, you know, in my mind, currently in my mind, the best album of all time. Yeah, and also don't trust no rapper or artist or musician who don't have no skin in the game. That means you have to trust people who actually have risk. I love Kendrick to death, but the reason also I'm a little bit still on the fence is that everybody loves him universally. There's nobody who doesn't not like Kendrick Lamar, honestly, and that's typically a bad scene. Is that if you have an individual artist or creator or musician in which he has no haters, it's probably a bad sign. So yeah, think about that. You got to be polarized. Polarizing is good. Polarizing is good. And also you have to have the guts to polarize your audience. Is that if you're always living in fear, afraid that you're going to polarize your core fan base, then you're never gonna evolve. Like, think about Bob Dylan when he went electric, right? Is a lot of people booed him off stage, but you know, apparently he's still alive and kicking. And even Steve Jobs was hugely inspired and motivated by him. Let us also not forget that Steve Jobs bootlegged the early Bob Dylan stuff. So you know, piracy was such a 2010s notion nobody really cares about no more. All right, so what is the path forward? The path forward, don't be afraid to self-cannibalize yourself, right? Like, don't think about your past self. You gotta kill your past self. Yeah, I think you know, even when Steve Jobs essentially innovated and invented the iPhone, right? You know, some F001s were like, oh, is it gonna cannibalize the sales of the iPod Touch, right? And then like he had the wisdom to know that you have to self-cannibalize, and he quotes Clay Christensen's the innovator's dilemma, is that in order to innovate, you often have to polarize or do bad financial decisions for long-term gains, right? I think one thing that Apple did that was very ballsy, good job iPad team, is they tossed in the M4 processor into the new iPad Pro before they did it on any of their other computers. And it looks like they're going pretty hard on the iPad, which is good. I mean, get rid of that stupid keyboard. Nobody needs a keyboard anymore. I mean, like, Steve Jobs would be writhing around in pain right now to see that they're trying to turn his beloved final creation, the iPad, which is meant to use without a stupid stylus, without a stupid keyboard, and instead have people innovate and do stuff that's much more interesting, like voice dictation, using your fingers and stuff like that, right? So the moral of the story is, never trust nobody who has a stupid pencil, has a stupid tablet, keyboard, or even anybody who gets a bigger one. It's like, you guys are not real Steve Jobs fanboys. You gotta be the real one. And I don't know, even like, I was like, why is it so bad to be a fanboy? It's good to be a fanboy. Like, all my fanboy admirations are people who are older than me, obviously far more successful than me. And the nice thing is that there's no sense of petty envy or jealousy. It's like it's like, don't hate Jeff Bezos because you wish it was Jeff Bezos. Oh, another thing too, never trust nobody who talks about the environment, or people who talk about like Bitcoin is bad for the environment, or AI is bad for the environment, or they're like anti-capitalist or whatever. I'm like, come on, like, as long as you're still streaming, you know, vegan documentaries on Netflix at your home, you know, drinking alcohol, smoking weed on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTubies, whatevs, have a dog. I mean, like, come on, dogs and cats are like a quadrillion times worse for the planet than kids who are actually productive. Who knows, maybe the kid you birth today could be the guy who creates the carbon recycling invention that could fuel the planet for the next 1,000 years. You never know, right? Yeah, have more kids, very easy. And yeah, and I think anyone who is quote-unquote anti-capitalism who has an iPhone, like, get out of here, come on. Like, apparently the reasons why you don't want to trust loser people like Susan Sontag, whatever, on photography. I'm like, first of all, she wasn't a photographer, so don't trust no author who is not a practitioner of the thing, right? Secondarily, you know, she's talking about like anti-capitalism, blah blah, and she's like living like a $10 million penthouse with her partner and like squeezing her publisher for every single dime. So obviously, you know, you reap what you sow. And also don't trust no person who's an anarchist who doesn't use email, doesn't have an iPhone, doesn't have a car. Don't trust an anarchist who's not using a horse and buggy, right? Living off the vegetables of their own farm. And so I think the simple Stoic thought, very, very simple, right? There are certain things in your locus of control, certain things not, right? And the goal is to make what you consider an effective change, given your talents, rather than complaining about X, Y, and Z. Like, I never complain about nothing, right? Like, you don't like the 405 traffic? Don't go on the 405. Oh, but I have to commute because my job. Quit your job, get a different job. Better to take a 80% pay cut than to do it, right? It's like, oh, but I gotta pay the rent, send my kids. But come on, you got options, you got options. What people don't understand about capitalism, you essentially have infinite options. And I think the path to digital capitalism is maybe promoting digital consumerism. It's like more virtuous for you to spend $10 purchasing the Procreate app rather than blowing, I don't know, X amount of money on other superficial things. Also the thing with cars, right? Don't buy the $100,000 Cybertruck or the $500,000 Lamborghini. Just buy the virtual car in the virtual world. Like, pay $10 for the one racing app. Even buy a PlayStation 5 and the VR headset, whatever. Spend the $500 on a video game simulation and also other good things. You know, you're not gonna die in a car accident, right? So this is where I still think racing games and simulators are better, because even a 0.0001% chance of death or some sort of injury in real motorsports, I don't actually think it's worth it. Yeah, and still conservation of monetary energy, economic energy, very simple, right? Like, you know, drive a 2010 Prius. Oh yeah. Hybrid, older Prius is the way. And put the rest of your money into fiat currencies. The only purchase I did recently, which I recommend wholeheartedly, is a 60-pound weight vest on Titan.Fitness, only $100. And it's my new best friend, my new metaphorical armor. Makes me feel so gangsta. Like, all these losers driving around their Range Rover and their lifted trucks. I'm like, it's like, can you even lift 6 plates, 7 plates, 8 plates, 9 plates, 10 plates, 10 plates and 25 hung on each side? I'm like, if you have never seen a maxed out barbell, I'm like, he's a bunch of wimps. And also some pro tips. Something also I learned simply from marketing: all press is good press. If you really are Donald Trump, don't say the T word, right? If you're really anti whatevs, right, just don't comment on it, right? Like, the more you comment on something, the more you're essentially fanning the flame of your enemies, right? So I don't know, if you hate Oprah Winfrey or something, just don't say nothing. Even for me, like, you know, if I see something or something or I don't like, just keep my mouth shut, right? It's like, rather than denigrating somebody, just don't mention them. If in fact, the best way to deal with trolls, which 99.99% are just ChatGPT bots, you just don't react, right? Like, imagine that you're the Gyarados and the other person is a Magikarp and they do splash. It's like, has no effect. Or you're a Gyarados and the other person's like a Diglett and they do the, you know, quick attack or whatever. It's like, okay, you got like 100,000 HP, they do like what, 5 HP of damage. I mean, obviously you're gonna feel it, but it's like, it's kind of like more like mosquitoes. You gotta, like, you know, either run away from the mosquito infested area or just kind of slap it and just kind of kill it this way. So simple thoughts. Yeah, so I think the path forward, like our best friend Gandhi said, become the change which you wish to see manifest in the world, and beyond the petty stuff you don't care for, just let it be, let it be.